Reddit asks, what advice is so good you don't want to share it? One of the best pieces of advice I've ever received and rarely share is the power of strategic silence. Most people are uncomfortable with pauses in conversation, so they rush to fill the gap. But if you can resist that urge and just let the silence sit, you'll be amazed at what happens. People will start talking more. They'll reveal things they didn't intend to say. They'll explain their thoughts in deeper detail, often exposing weaknesses in their arguments, hidden motivations, or emotions they were trying to keep in check. In negotiations, this is gold. In job interviews, it can turn the tide in your favor. In personal relationships, it can help you truly understand someone instead of just reacting. The key is to be comfortable in the silence. Make eye contact, nod, but don't rush in to break it. Let the other person feel the need to fill the void. It's such a simple tactic, but once you master it, you gain an almost unfair advantage in social interactions. The concept of quiet ambition is something I rarely talk about, but it's one of the most powerful life strategies. Most people broadcast their goals, telling the world about their dreams, their next big move, their plans for success. But here's the secret. The more you talk about what you want to do, the less energy you have to actually do it. Your brain gets tricked into thinking that talking about it is progress, and you lose momentum before you even begin. Instead, keep your ambitions private. Work in silence. Build without announcing. Let your results speak for you. By the time people realize what you've accomplished, it's too late for them to interfere, copy you, or throw negativity your way. You've already won. Mastering the art of selective competence has been one of the biggest game changers in my life, and I almost never share it. Here's the deal. If people know you're highly capable at something, they will constantly ask you to do it. At work, at home, in social settings, suddenly, you're the go-to person for that task, and it can trap you in a cycle of endless responsibility. The trick? Be strategically incompetent at things you don't want to be stuck doing. If you don't want to be the person who always fixes the office printer, struggle with it a little. If you don't want to be the default trip planner for every friend group vacation, act confused about logistics. You can still be excellent at the things that matter to you. But for everything else, play dumb just enough to stay off the hook. People who don't know this trick end up overworked and underappreciated. People who do, they save their time and energy for things that truly benefit them. One of the best kept secrets in life? Most rules are just social norms, not actual rules. People go through life assuming they have to follow invisible guidelines. You have to wait for permission. You don't. You need qualifications before you start. Not always. You have to do things the right way. Says who? The truth is, a lot of success comes from simply deciding to do something while everyone else is waiting for approval. Want a job? Apply even if you don't meet all the requirements. Want to start a business? Launch it before you're ready. Want access to opportunities? Walk into rooms like you belong there. Most people hesitate because they think they need to be chosen. The real secret? You can choose yourself. People remember how you make them feel, not what you say. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You don't have to be the most talented, the most attractive, or the most successful. But if you can consistently make people feel good about themselves when they're around you, they will want you in their lives, personally and professionally. Compliment people in a way that feels genuine. Listen more than you talk. Use their name in conversation. Subtly mirror their body language to create connection. Show excitement for their successes. And be a safe space when they struggle. Most people are too focused on themselves to apply this. But those who do, they build strong networks, attract opportunities effortlessly, and are always surrounded by support. It's social engineering at its finest. And once you get it, life gets way easier. Here's a secret that's made my life exponentially easier, but I rarely share it because once people know, it loses its magic. Most people are so focused on themselves that they barely notice what you're doing. Use this to your advantage. We tend to assume that others are constantly judging us, analyzing our every move, and remembering our mistakes. But the reality? Everyone is trapped in their own mental universe. worry about their own problems, insecurities, and how they are being perceived. Once you truly understand this, life opens up in incredible ways. You can reinvent yourself anytime. That embarrassing moment you keep replaying in your head, no one else remembers it. Want to start dressing differently, act more confident, or pursue a new career path? Do it. Nobody is keeping track like you think they are. You can get away with more than you realize. People hesitate to negotiate, ask for raises, or take risks because they fear rejection. But the truth is, most people won't question you if you act like you belong. Walk into a room with confidence, and people will assume you're supposed to be there. Speak with authority, and people will take you seriously, even if you're figuring things out as you go. Social anxiety shrinks dramatically. When you realize most people are too wrapped up in their own thoughts to scrutinize you, you stop worrying so much about saying the perfect thing or making a fool of yourself. Conversations flow easier. You stop overanalyzing past interactions. You realize that people will like you more when you relax and stop trying so hard. This is the ultimate cheat code. People are too busy thinking about themselves to obsess over you. So take the risks, make the changes, and do what you want, because nobody is watching as closely as you think. Control the frame, and you control the outcome. Most people go through life reacting to situations instead of shaping them. They respond to pressure. They follow others' expectations. They assume the world operates in a fixed way. But the truth is, the person who defines a narrative, the frame, controls the entire interaction. Here's how this works in real life. 1. In social situations, how you present yourself becomes reality. Ever notice how some people just seem important? They walk into a room, and others naturally give them attention. It's not always because they're the smartest, richest, or best looking. It's because they act like they belong. They assume a frame of confidence, and people subconsciously accept it. If you treat yourself like someone worth listening to, people will listen. If you act like your ideas are valuable, others will assume they are. If you don't over-explain or seek validation, people will take you at your word. The secret? Speak slower, move deliberately, and let silence do some of the work. When you don't rush to fill gaps or overcompensate, others lean in and take you more seriously. 2. In negotiations, the first frame wins. Most people negotiate from the frame they're given. They accept the starting position and work within it. But real power comes from redefining the situation entirely. If someone asks, "Can you lower your rate?" Don't defend your pricing, flip the frame. Actually, most of my clients see a 3x return on this investment. The real question is, what result are you looking for? If a job interviewer asks, "Why should we hire you?" don't fall into the trap of proving yourself. Instead, reframe. The real question is whether this role is the right fit for both of us. Let's talk about what success looks like on your end. When you control the frame, you stop defending yourself and start setting the terms. 3. In personal life, your standards set the frame. Most people accept whatever social dynamics they're handed. They tolerate flaky friends, inconsistent partners, or being taken for granted because they never define their own standards. The person who sets expectations is the one who gets what they want. If you assume that your time is valuable, others will respect it. If you act like you're someone who deserves great treatment, people will treat you accordingly. The key? Set the standard without asking for permission. Instead of saying, "Please don't cancel on me last minute," simply say, "I only make plans with people who follow through." No begging, no convincing, just a clear, unshakable frame. The bottom line, most people let others set the terms of their reality, but the person who controls the frame, who defines how a situation is perceived, controls the outcome. Master this, and suddenly job interviews feel easier. Social interactions go your way. Negotiations tilt in your favor. People start seeing you as someone they respect, listen to, and even follow. This is one of those things that works too well. And that's exactly why I don't share it often. Learn to shut up at the right time is an underrated superpower. People reveal way more when you let silence do the work. Ever notice how some employees get away with saying no to extra work, while others get loaded up with tasks simply because they're helpful? The difference is how they train others to perceive their value. If you always say yes, people assume your time isn't scarce. If you set boundaries early, people respect them. If you speak with authority, others assume you know what you're doing, even if you're still figuring things out. The trick? Start as you mean to continue. If you begin a job working nights and weekends, people will expect that forever. But if you establish early on that you prioritize efficiency over overtime, people will adjust. Here's something I rarely share because once people understand it, they start using it to their advantage. Sometimes in ways that feel almost unfair. People treat you based on how you teach them to treat you. Most people assume respect, kindness, and opportunities are things you earn over time. But in reality, people take their cues on how to treat you from how you treat yourself and what you allow. Once you understand this, you can reshape nearly every relationship in your life. In friendships and relationships, you teach people how to treat you. Most people assume that respect and kindness should be automatic in friendships and relationships. But in reality, people push as far as you let them. If you respond immediately to flaky behavior, you teach people that it's fine to cancel last minute. If you keep giving second chances, you show them that disrespect has no real consequences. If you carry yourself as someone who deserves great treatment, people will either step up or fade away. This doesn't mean being rude or demanding. It just means that the energy you accept is the energy you will keep receiving. If you subtly show that you don't tolerate certain behaviors, people adjust or they disappear, which is also a win. One of the biggest life hacks? People take most things at face value. If you act like you belong somewhere, people assume you do. If you speak like you know what you're doing, people believe you. This applies everywhere. Job interviews. Speak like a person who is already successful in the role. They'll assume you're the right fit. Dating. Treat yourself like someone valuable, and others will view you that way. Social settings. If you act at ease, others assume you're important or interesting, even if you just got there. Momentum is more powerful than motivation. Most people think they need motivation to take action. They wait until they feel inspired, energized, or ready. But the truth? Motivation is a scam. It's unreliable. It comes and goes. And if you rely on it, you'll always be stuck in a cycle of waiting. What actually works? Momentum. The secret is that action itself creates motivation, not the other way around. The hardest part of anything is starting. But once you take even the smallest step, your brain shifts gears. It sees progress. And suddenly, continuing feels easier than stopping. Consistency is what separates people who achieve their goals from those who don't. But instead of trying to be perfect, follow the 2-day rule. Never skip twice. If you miss one workout, fine, but don't miss the next. If you break your habit once, don't guilt trip yourself. Just restart immediately. Progress isn't ruined by one bad day. It's ruined when you let one bad day turn into 10. When you prioritize not breaking momentum, you stay on track even when motivation disappears.